As President Trump announced on October 13th, the United States is taking a new approach to Iran by focusing on all of the regime's destabilizing behavior. That means we are not just focused on the nuclear program. We're also taking a hard look at Iran's ballistic missile program, its arms exports, and its support for terrorists, proxy fighters, and dictators. Our new strategy was prompted by the undeniable fact that the Iranian regime's behavior is growing worse. The nuclear deal has done nothing to moderate the regime's conduct in other areas. Aid from Iran's Revolutionary Guard to dangerous militias and terror groups is increasing. Its ballistic missiles and advanced weapons are turning up in war zones across the region. It's hard to find a conflict or a terrorist group in the Middle East that does not have Iran's fingerprints all over it. In this warehouse is concrete evidence of illegal Iranian weapons proliferation gathered from direct military attacks on our partners in the region. Behind me is an example of one of these attacks. These are the recovered pieces of a missile fired by Houthi militants from Yemen into Saudi Arabia. The missile's intended target was the civilian airport in Riyadh, through which tens of thousands of passengers travel each day. I repeat, the missile was used to attack an international civilian airport in a G20 country. Just imagine if this missile had been launched at Dulles Airport or JFK, or the airports in Paris, London, or Berlin. That's what we're talking about here.
I don't know about you guys, but this speech by Nikki Haley today reminded me a lot of Colin Powell's speech right before we went into Iraq. You know, the speech is one thing, all right? The more important thing we need to talk about was halfway through that video, I don't know if you noticed, but somebody seemed like they were trying to take a video of Nikki Haley, maybe perhaps a picture, but they couldn't figure out on their newest iPhone how to zoom in, all right? And that individual, he or she, immediately gave up. I thought it was quite hilarious. Honestly, I couldn't really concentrate on anything other than that, because it was just a moment of pure gold, guys, all right? But if I was paying attention, I would have been like, oh, wow, this definitely seems like a mock-up of the Colin Powell speech right before we went into Iraq, talking about this missile debris behind Nikki Haley that was recovered and apparently is Iranian, given to Houthi rebels in Yemen. The proxy war, as we know, is going on between Saudi Arabia and Iran. Saudi Arabia, a close ally of the United States of America. Saudi Arabia working with Israel to undermine Iranian agendas and influence worldwide. Saudi Arabia, who sponsors just enough terrorism as Iran, it seems like, worldwide. But it definitely seems like the agenda for a war against Iran is building. All right, and this speech today by Nikki Haley, it just adds to that. It adds to the thought of, you know, we could see a coalition go after Iran. This whole entire situation in the Middle East was muddied even more by Trump declaring Jerusalem as the one true capital of Israel. All right, we've heard Iran come out and say that they were going to support the Palestinians. We've seen Hamas come out and say, hey, you know, this is a little BS, all right? We don't agree with it. And you know what they did? They fired off some rockets. The IDF in Israel responded. Basically, the whole entire situation is a huge mess, and it wouldn't take much for this whole situation in the Middle East to come falling down. All right, the problems we've seen in Yemen, the problems we're seeing with Lebanon, the problems we're seeing between Israel and Iran, Bahrain offering up their bases for Israeli Air Force jets to bomb Iran if it comes to that, which it definitely seems like we're going down that road. We've seen like we've completely circumnavigated the whole peace process. That doesn't seem like it's a real thing. I know peace process or peaceful talks seems like a really bad joke when you're talking about the Middle East, because they really rarely have seen peace over the last, 3,000 years. But we're getting to a point where it seems like the only road we're leading towards is a broader conflict with Iran. All right, and one could argue that this has been part of the agenda for the past 10, 20 years. So it definitely seems like this would be a conflict between Israel, Saudi Arabia, and Iran, but it looks like the United States of America is going to be throwing their hats in there as well because of this missile debris that was found, because it was Iranian, it was provided by the Houthi rebels. It's not like Saudi Arabia or America's ever provided some pretty shady characters any weapons, right? Oh wait, I think we had a report come out today that the United States of America armed a lot of ISIS. So, I mean, it's a little ridiculous at this point. No one really wants war, except for the elite, the deep state, these powerful individuals who, like puppet masters, are playing all this the way they want it. So definitely this speech that was given by Nikki Haley definitely reminds me, it's reminiscent of Colin Powell and his speech to the UN on Iraq. So, at this point, does anything surprise you guys? Does it really surprise you? Do you guys think that we're going to be heading down a road that is war with Iran? I mean, we already have the situation with North Korea. North Korea coming out today and saying naval blockade means war. And I said that a naval blockade was coming. I've been saying that for months. And in the newest sanctions by the United States of America, a naval blockade is essentially what they're talking about. A naval blockade may actually happen. Guys, as more information about this comes out, I'll let you guys know. We'll talk about it. We'll discuss it. What a wonderful day. It's definitely time for a beer, guys. It's definitely time for a whole bunch of prayers. And as always, keep your eyes to the skies. Thanks, guys.